Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Today, we're exploring the wisdom of Saadi with, the big questions about reality, limits of logic, how everything connects.
Right. And don't forget, we're working with those amazing conversations between Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, the Iranian philosophers, and their thoughts.
And a quick disclaimer, this is a translation, so some of those finer points might get a little lost in translation, so we apologize for any discrepancies there.
Definitely. And this is episode 15 out of 50, focused on Saadi of Shiraz.
Saadi of Shiraz. I love this one. The path of reason is nothing but twists and turns. For the mystic, there's nothing but God. So if logic can only take us so far, how do we actually break free from that limited thinking, expand our understanding?
Well, Dr. Dinani brings up a really interesting point. He says logic, it's valuable, right? But it just doesn't capture the whole picture. It's kind of like, he compares it to a fly trapped in a bottle.
Oh.
Only able to see from that tiny perspective.
Oh, I see.
So it's not about ditching logic altogether. It's more about recognizing when we need to push past those boundaries.
Yeah. It's like relying only on a map to experience a new city. You'd miss the life. You'd miss all those vibrant experiences.
Exactly. And so Dr. Dinani suggests questioning our assumptions and even embracing insights from mystics, those who experience reality beyond logic. And a powerful saying by Imam Ali that captures this shift is, I never saw a thing without seeing God before it, with it, and after it.
Wait, so hold on. How can you see God before, with, and after everything? Like, how does that work?
It's more of a shift in perspective. Imagine, like, the one's a reflection in a mirror, okay?
Right.
And the mirror itself, that backing that allows the reflection to exist, that's like the divine. It's the essence that allows everything we experience to, to be.
So instead of seeing a world of like separate individual things, we start to see a world that's like a manifestation of the divine.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's a very different way of seeing things. And Dr. Dinani uses this analogy of a pitcher made of ice.
Okay, I like analogies. What happens when the ice melts?
Becomes one with the water, the pitcher disappears.
Right. And mystics, they see creation as a manifestation of the divine, ultimately inseparable from its source. Just like ocean waves. Endless variety, yet all water.
Okay. So we're all part of that same like ocean of being, inseparable. But how does that idea fit with all the different types of people in the world, good and bad?
Well, this is where Saadi's concept of man comes in.
Man.
Not just the physical body. He means the whole spectrum of human potential.
Okay.
All the good, the bad, the light, and the shadow.
So like a scale, right? Pharaoh representing tyranny on one side.
And someone like Prophet Muhammad representing, spiritual perfection on the other. Man, as Saadi uses it, it encompasses all those contradictions. The capacity for both immense darkness and that extraordinary light. So where do we fit on that scale?
Yeah.
Recognizing both the good and the bad.
Absolutely. And Saadi encourages us to actually confront our shadows. Don't shy away from the complexities of human nature. And he uses powerful imagery to illustrate this, like the Sultan of Majesty.
Sultan of Majesty, what is that exactly?
Represents divine power and knowledge. And Saadi describes the scene where the Sultan reveals itself and the world of separate things, it vanishes.
Wow.
The world puts its head in the pocket of non-existence. It's his words.
So it's about transcending those limited perspectives that we have.
Yeah. Like when you look at the earth from an airplane and you see those, borders disappear.
Yeah.
You just see the interconnectedness of it all.
Exactly.
When we recognize the Sultan of Majesty, we start to see the divine kind of woven into everything.
It shifts your whole perception.
It does.
But how do we even begin to access that?
Well, Dr. Larijani emphasizes that, Saadi's wisdom, it's embedded in his poetry and his stories. He uses this vivid imagery and narratives to make these really complex ideas accessible, not just intellectually, but
Yeah, intuitively.
Intuitively.
Like he's speaking to your heart.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And a recurring theme is, returning to our essence, to that oneness we were just talking about.
That oneness. So it's about peeling back those layers of conditioning beliefs that trap us in those limited worldviews.
Beautifully put.
And reconnecting with that pure, unconditioned awareness.
And Saadi emphasizes the journey isn't solitary.
Oh.
Surrounding yourself with, people who inspire you, challenge you, crucial.
Because let's be honest, this kind of inner work, It can be tough.
It can be.
We need those guides, those fellow travelers, to remind us of our potential, keep us moving towards that higher vision of ourselves.
Absolutely. And Saadi doesn't limit companionship to, other humans. He finds it in nature.
How nature.
The beauty, the wisdom of the natural world.
So trees, rivers, mountains, they can all be our teachers, reminding us of our interconnectedness.
Dr. Dinani explains that nature kind of reminds us of our place in the grand scheme of things, the cyclical nature of life. It's tapping into a source of wisdom and solace that's often missing in our human-centered world.
Like a breath of fresh air for the spirit.
Yeah.
A reminder that there's more to life than just that constant, striving and achieving. There's that deeper dimension.
Yes.
A connection to something greater, just waiting to be discovered.
And Saadi shows us how to find it.
Through his work.
Through his poetry.
His wisdom.
His stories. He invites us on that journey of self-discovery. To wake up to our true potential. Create a more just, compassionate, beautiful world.
A more just, compassionate, beautiful world. It's a challenging journey, but the rewards are immeasurable.
They are.
And that brings us to a really key point that Dr. Dinani emphasizes. It's this idea that silence itself can be a pathway to deeper understanding.
Yes, and Dr. Larijani discusses this as well. Saadi believed that sometimes, the most profound understanding, it doesn't come from words, but from stillness.
Silence.
From silence. It's about quieting that mental noise,
Yeah.
and opening ourselves to a different kind of knowing, a more intuitive, heart-centered awareness.
It's like hitting pause on that constant mental chatter.
Precisely.
Allowing something deeper to emerge.
Saadi believed that sometimes the most profound insights come not from words, but from stillness. It's about quieting the mental noise and opening ourselves to a different kind of knowing.
A different kind of knowing.
A more intuitive, heart-centered awareness.
I love that.
And Dr. Larijani even points out that Saadi considered the act of breathing to be a spiritual practice.
Really? The act of breathing.
Inhaling the good, exhaling the negative. Such a simple act, yet so powerful in shifting our energy and awareness.
It's like turning something we do unconsciously all the time into this conscious act of connection.
Exactly.
With the divine.
With the divine.
But speaking of connection, how does Saadi view language? Because, so much of what we're discussing comes from his written words. Dr. Dinani talks about his fascination with language, but I'm curious, is there something deeper there?
Yeah.
Beyond just communication?
Absolutely. Saadi recognized the power of language not just to convey information, but to actually shape our reality.
Whoa.
Dr. Larijani explains it. He says language is like a programming code that shapes our perception of the world.
So if we're constantly using negative judgmental language, we're essentially programming ourselves for unhappiness.
That's right. But if we choose words that are positive, compassionate, unifying, we can create a different internal landscape.
It's like planting seeds.
It is.
In the garden of our minds. The words we use, the stories we tell ourselves, they all contribute to that quality of our inner experience.
And Saadi reminds us that this inner transformation is reflected in the outer world as well.
Like Gandhi said.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Starts with our own thoughts, words, actions.
And Dr. Dinani emphasizes that this transformation, it begins with gratitude. Simply taking time to appreciate what we have. Acknowledge the abundance in our lives.
Shifts your whole perspective.
It does. It does.
Because when we're so focused on what we lack, it's easy to get stuck in that scarcity mindset.
It is.
The fear. But when we cultivate gratitude, it's like we open ourselves up to a more expansive, joyful way of being.
And that brings us to, another crucial point, Saadi's emphasis on the interconnectedness of all things. He uses vivid imagery, like the weaving of a tapestry, to illustrate how our individual choices, words, and actions contribute to the larger pattern.
So we're not isolated islands. We're all threads in this intricate web of life.
That's right.
Our actions have these ripple effects.
They do.
That extend far beyond ourselves.
And this awareness, this sense of responsibility for our impact on the world, it's at the heart of Saadi's ethical teachings. He encourages us to become the kind of man who embodies compassion, generosity, wisdom, reverence for all creation.
So it's not just about personal enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's about living in a way that benefits all beings.
That's right.
But let's be real, it's a lifelong journey.
It is.
There's going to be bumps along the way, times when we stumble, make mistakes, just lose our way.
Absolutely. And Saadi doesn't shy away from the challenges of, of the spiritual path. In fact, Dr. Larijani, he shares this beautiful story about a Sufi master who loses everything.
Everything.
His home, his possessions, even his family.
Oh, wow.
And in the face of each misfortune, the Sufi master simply says, "Thank God."
That's incredible.
It is. It speaks to Saadi's belief that even our most difficult experiences, they can be opportunities for growth and transformation.
Growth and transformation.
It's about trusting that there's a wisdom at play, even when we can't fully grasp it with our limited human understanding.
So it's not about denying the pain, pretending everything's fine. It's about acknowledging those challenges.
Yes.
Choosing to approach them with a different attitude.
And a willingness to learn and grow from them.
Learn and grow from them.
And Saadi also reminds us that we don't have to go through this alone. He emphasizes the importance of, seeking guidance from those who have traveled further along the path.
Okay.
From teachers, mentors, and guides who can help us navigate the complexities of life, help us realize our full potential.
Because sometimes we need that helping hand, that fresh perspective, someone to point us in the right direction when we're lost.
Absolutely. And this guidance, it can come from unexpected sources.
Oh.
Saadi encourages us to find companionship not only in other humans, but also in nature.
In nature?
Trees, rivers, mountains, they can all be our teachers if we're open to their lessons.
It's like expanding our sense of community to include all of creation.
Precisely.
All of creation.
And Dr. Dinani explains that connecting with nature reminds us of our interconnectedness, our place in the grand scheme of things, the cyclical nature of life. It's tapping into a wellspring of wisdom and solace that's often missing in our, human-centered world.
A breath of fresh air for our spirits.
Yeah.
A reminder that there's more to life than just that constant striving, that achieving that we so often get caught up in.
Yes.
There's that deeper dimension, that connection to something greater, just waiting to be discovered.
And Saadi, through his beautiful poetry, his captivating stories, his profound wisdom, he shows us how to find it. He invites us on that journey of self-discovery, to wake up to our true potential.
Our true potential.
And to create a more just, compassionate, and beautiful world.
It's a challenging journey.
It is.
But as he reminds us, the rewards, they're immeasurable.
They are. They are. It's about recognizing that the more we give, the more we receive. It's this endless cycle of abundance. It flows from a heart that is open and connected.
It's like that saying, the hand that gives gathers generosity. It's not a zero-sum game, right?
That's right.
It's a way of multiplying joy and love and compassion in the world.
Exactly. And Saadi encourages us to approach generosity with a sense of joy, a sense of playfulness even.
Right.
He believed that giving should be a delight, an expression of gratitude for the gift of life itself.
So it's not about forcing ourselves to give out of obligation. It's about finding ways to give that bring us joy, make us feel connected.
Exactly. And in that joyful exchange of giving and receiving, we discover a deeper truth, that our own happiness, it's linked to the well-being of all.
Our own happiness. As we delve deeper into Saadi's wisdom, I'm struck by how much emphasis he places on the power of storytelling.
Yes.
Dr. Larijani mentions that Saadi often used stories to convey his teachings rather than just presenting these abstract concepts.
Right. He was a master storyteller.
A master storyteller.
And he recognized the power of narratives to, bypass our intellectual defenses, touch us on a deeper level.
It's like those stories can sneak in through the back door of our minds,
Yeah.
bypassing our skepticism, our cynicism, planting these seeds of wisdom directly into our hearts.
Precisely. And Dr. Dinani points out that Saadi's stories are often full of humor, wit, irony.
Oh, I love that.
He wasn't afraid to, challenge conventional wisdom, make his points in a way that was memorable.
It's let's not take ourselves too seriously.
That's right.
Even when dealing with these profound truths, right?
Yes.
We can still approach life with a sense of playfulness and lightness.
And that playfulness, that willingness to kind of poke fun at ourselves and the world around us, it can be incredibly liberating. It helps us detach from our rigid beliefs, see things from a fresh perspective.
See things from a fresh perspective.
Yeah, and Dr. Larijani highlights, Saadi's stories often feature ordinary people.
Ordinary people.
Facing real-life dilemmas. They're not just these abstract moral tales.
Right.
They're relatable narratives that we can see ourselves in.
You can see ourselves in, exactly.
And through these stories, Saadi invites us to reflect on our own values, our own choices, our own actions. He challenges us to consider how we would respond in similar situations, to examine our own motivations, and to strive to live in alignment with our highest ideals.
So he's really making his teachings practical.
That's right.
Relevant.
Yes.
Applicable to our everyday experiences.
And that's the beauty of Saadi's wisdom. It's not just a collection of these lofty ideals, but a roadmap for living a more meaningful, compassionate, and fulfilling life.
Not about becoming a recluse, withdrawing from the world.
Yeah.
It's about bringing these principles into that messy, complicated reality of our everyday lives.
And Dr. Dinani emphasizes that this integration of wisdom into daily life, it requires practice, patience, a willingness to learn from our mistakes. It's not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing the journey with all its, its ups and its downs.
Because, let's face it, we're all works in progress, right?
We are.
And Saadi reminds us to approach this journey with a sense of humor.
Yes.
A willingness to forgive ourselves when we stumble.
Yeah.
Keep striving toward that vision of a more just, compassionate, and beautiful world.
Absolutely. And as we continue exploring Marifat, we'll uncover even more of Saadi's incredible insights.
I can't wait. But for now, I think it's time to turn our attention to another fascinating aspect of Saadi's work.
Okay.
He often talked about the importance of finding joy, even in the midst of adversity.
That's a crucial element of his teachings. He believed that true joy, it wasn't dependent on external circumstances. It was a state of being that we could cultivate within ourselves, regardless of what was happening around us.
So like an inner wellspring of happiness that's not affected by the ups and downs of life.
That's right.
But how do we even begin to access that kind of joy when we're facing challenges, loss, even just the daily grind?
Well, Saadi believed that one of the keys to cultivating inner joy was through a deep connection with the divine. He saw the world as a manifestation of God's love and beauty. And he believed that by connecting with that divine essence, we could tap into an inexhaustible source of joy.
So it's like finding that divine spark in everything, recognizing that beauty and wonder that exists even in the most ordinary moments.
Exactly. And Dr. Larijani points out that Saadi often used the imagery of a garden to describe this connection with the divine.
My God.
He saw the garden as a metaphor for the human heart, a place where we could cultivate beauty, love, and joy.
It's like tending to our inner garden, weeding out those negative thoughts, those beliefs that prevent us from experiencing true joy, and then planting those seeds of love, gratitude, and compassion.
And just as a gardener must tend to their garden with care and attention, Saadi believed that we must also cultivate our inner joy through practices like, prayer, meditation, and contemplation.
So it's not just about passively waiting for joy to arrive.
No.
It's about actively creating those conditions for joy to flourish within us.
And this cultivation of inner joy, it's not a selfish pursuit.
Oh.
He believed that when we cultivate joy within ourselves, it naturally radiates outward, touching the lives of those around us. It's like our inner joy becomes contagious. Inspiring others to find their own sources of happiness and well-being.
I love that.
And Dr. Dinani highlights how this ripple effect of joy, it can actually contribute to a more harmonious and peaceful society. When we approach life with joy, we're less likely to be caught up in conflict, negativity, judgment.
It's like joy. It disarms us, softens our edges, helps us to see the good in others, even when they're different from us.
And Saadi reminds us that joy is not the absence of sorrow or suffering.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he believed that true joy, it could coexist with pain, loss, and disappointment.
So it's like saying, yes, life is full of challenges, but even in the midst of those challenges, I can choose to hold on to a sense of joy, a sense of gratitude for the gift of life itself.
Exactly. And Dr. Larijani shares this beautiful story about a group of travelers who are caught in this terrible storm. Their ship is tossed about by the waves and they fear for their lives.
Oh, wow.
But one of the travelers, this wise old man, he remains calm and composed throughout the ordeal.
Wow. He must have had an unshakable faith.
He did. And when the storm finally subsides, the other travelers ask him, they say, "How were you able to remain so calm in the face of such danger?"
Yeah.
And the wise old man replies, he says, "My dear friends, I have learned that true joy is not found in the absence of storms, but in the ability to dance in the rain." What a beautiful metaphor. It's like saying, yes, life will throw us curveballs, but we can choose to meet those challenges with grace, with resilience, even with a sense of joy.
And that's the essence of Saadi's teaching on joy. It's not about denying the difficulties of life. It's about cultivating that inner strength, that resilience that allows us to find joy even in the midst of adversity.
It's a powerful, powerful teaching. It's a reminder that joy, it's a choice. It's this inner state that we can cultivate even when life feels really stormy.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important theme in Saadi's work, his emphasis on patience.
Patience. Yeah, that's a big one. Life doesn't always go according to plan, right? We had delays, setbacks, obstacles. It tests our patience. Makes us want to give up sometimes.
And it's in those moments that Saadi reminds us that patience is crucial. He didn't see it as just, passively resigning to our fate. It was an active form of strength, resilience. So it's like, okay, things aren't going my way right now,
Right.
but I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to keep working toward my goals, trust that things will unfold as they're meant to.
Exactly. And Dr. Dinani points out that Saadi often used this analogy of a farmer to illustrate the importance of patience.
But far
A
less.
farmer plants a seed, and then he has to patiently wait for it to germinate, to sprout, and eventually bear fruit.
It's a beautiful reminder that growth takes time. We can't rush the process.
That's right.
Sometimes those most rewarding things in life, they require patience, perseverance.
And just as a farmer must tend to their crops with care and attention, Saadi believed that we must also nurture our own patience.
So it's not just about gritting our teeth and bearing it, right?
Yeah.
It's about cultivating an inner state of peace,
Yes.
acceptance.
Yeah.
Allows us to weather those storms of life without losing our sense of joy or purpose.
And Dr. Larijani highlights how this cultivation of patience, it's not only beneficial for our own well-being, but also for our relationships with others.
Yeah, I could see that. When we're patient with ourselves, it's easier to be patient with others. And when we're able to see our own struggles, our own imperfections, we're more likely to be understanding and compassionate towards the struggles of others.
Exactly. Saadi believed that true patience, it wasn't just about enduring hardship. It was about developing a deep understanding of the human condition. The recognition that we're all in this together, all doing the best we can.
It's like that saying, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always.
It is. When we approach life with patience and compassion, we create a more harmonious and supportive environment for ourselves and for everyone around us.
It's true.
And Saadi believed that this compassionate patience, it was essential for building a more just and equitable society. He saw that impatience often led to conflict, to judgment, and to division, whereas patience, it created space for understanding, forgiveness, and reconciliation.
So it's not just about being a nice person.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our interconnectedness,
Yeah.
it requires us to approach each other with patience, with compassion. We want to create a world where everyone can thrive.
And Dr. Dinani emphasizes that this kind of compassionate patience, it can be especially challenging in times of adversity. When we're facing injustice, oppression, it can be very tempting to just react with anger, resentment, even violence.
It's true, because when we're feeling hurt, when we're feeling threatened, our first instinct isn't always to turn the other cheek.
Absolutely. But Saadi reminds us that even in those difficult moments, patience can be a powerful, powerful force for transformation.
So it's like, okay, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling hurt, but I'm not going to let those emotions control me. I'm going to choose a more compassionate, more constructive response.
Exactly. And this doesn't mean condoning injustice, allowing ourselves to be mistreated.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our anger, our resentment, while it's understandable, it won't ultimately solve the problem. It's about finding a way to respond with wisdom, with courage, with compassion.
Even in the face of adversity.
Even in the face of adversity. And Dr. Larijani highlights how this kind of compassionate patience, it can actually be a source of strength, a source of empowerment. When we choose patience over anger, we're reclaiming our power. We're choosing to respond in a way that aligns with our values.
So it's recognizing that we always have a choice
We do.
in how we respond to difficult situations. We can choose to react from a place of fear, anger, resentment, Or we can choose to respond from a place of patience, compassion, understanding.
And Saadi reminds us that this choice, while not always easy, it ultimately determines the quality of our lives, the kind of world we create. He challenges us to become the kind of man who embodies patience, compassion, and wisdom, not just in our personal lives, but in all our interactions with the world.
It's like saying, okay, world, here I am. I'm going to show up with patience, compassion, an open heart, even when it's difficult. I'm going to be the change I want to see in the world. One patient, compassionate act at a time.
And Saadi's wisdom invites us all to embark on that journey of transformation. It's a journey that begins within, with the cultivation of self-awareness, gratitude, generosity, and love.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness, embracing balance, and finding joy even in the midst of adversity.
Exactly. Saadi's teachings are timeless, they're profound, they offer practical guidance for navigating the complexities of life and creating a more just, compassionate, and beautiful world.
It's been a truly enriching experience diving into his wisdom. Thank you for sharing your insights and bringing his teachings to life.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, may Saadi's wisdom inspire you to approach life with curiosity, kindness, and a sense of wonder.
May we all strive to make the world a more beautiful and compassionate place for all.